People call you at the damnedest times. I had to take that call. Okay, so discussion 3. And just a sec here, let me look over and, what do you know? There's me talking. That's an example of me over there. That's an ingredient in this discussion, an example of me in one of my earlier incarnations discussing chunking. And so Lakoff might ask a very different kind of chunking question. We're starting to get the idea that this chunking business is something that should be vigorously and deeply and completely trained into us. You know, NLP should be teaching us real specific, fine detail. This is not just some, interesting observation about the brain or the human condition or something, but should be teaching us these skills at such a level that they are simply reflexes. We don't have to go back and refer to a bunch of mental files. They just happen naturally in our behavior. And they amaze people because we're so dexterous and so facile at things that are skills that you normally find in very superior communicators or people who are compelling speakers or people who are marvelous communicators. And that's going to involve a lot of chunking up and chunking down. And what type of chunking? So I think we can go beyond the kind of original model, the what is this an example of, what is an example of this, okay? And we can take that a little further. What is this a part of? What is a part of this? What is a component? So we can say, think in terms of examples, think in terms of components. But then we can go further. We can go into, say, Lakovian thinking, and we can say, and this is using a form of speech called Synecdoche, which he relates to another form of speech called Metonomy. And Lakoff, the linguist, is very much into Synecdoche and Metonomy. We can say, what is a container for this? What is a container for this? And what is this a container for? All right? So using Metonomy, or the idea of what this is really Synecdoche, what is this a container for? They speak about, the White House said this. This is something the White House said. Well, the White House didn't say it, but the White House serves as a container for all the stuff that goes on inside the White House. So that is the White House, just talking about the White House, is a container for what we understand to take place within the White House, okay? And you might say, if you reversed that, you could say, well, what is a container for this? So that would be something where you would have to go out and mentally search, very similar to finding a metaphor, but you have to find something that contains your thought. So you might say, what am I talking about here? You say, well, this is a kind of NLP training. Okay, it's training of NLP. That idea is a container. The NLP training is a container for the stuff that I'm doing, which is very specific and is not really like any NLP training you've done before. And you might find a lot in political speech and kind of activist speech and speech where people are speaking a little more inflammatorily. You might say, well, what is this a symptom of? People always talk, well, this is a symptom of something, okay? So they've chunked up the symptoms. So, this behavior is a symptom of the breakdown of society. So there's a chunking step, okay? Or what is a symptom of this? So you might say, well, that person's shifty eyes are a symptom of unreliability. Okay, so we can think symptomatically. We can think in terms of containers. And we often think, if we're thinking Lakovian, in Lakovian terms, that people on one side of an argument may be thinking about terms in terms of containers and using container language, and people on another side of an argument may be using symptom language. And one of the little interesting things I picked up from Altfeld was, we'll do that next.